Wikipedia is not a free encyclopedia anymore. It's a digital battlefield. And right now, the truth about the Jews in Israel is being systematically erased. This isn't just a debate over narratives. This is knowledge poisoning. In the Wikipedia entry on Zionism, the words colonialism and colonists appears 170 times. That's insane. Zionism, for those who don't know, is the national movement of the Jewish people that supports the right to self-determination in their historical homeland, the land of Israel. It is that simple. Look at a map of the Middle East. Are the Jews a mini tiny group who lives in the same place where their ancestors lived thousands of years ago on 0.1% of the land, the colonizers? Or are the colonizers the Arabs who came from Arabia, erased dozens of indigenous cultures, and conquered 99.9% of the Middle East? Now, look at the wording on Wikipedia. Even without knowing any history or looking at a map, you can tell something is wrong here. Zionism is an ethnocultural nationalist movement that emerged in late 19th century Europe. It primarily seeks to establish and support a Jewish homeland through the colonization of Palestine, which roughly corresponds to the land of Israel in Judaism, itself central to Jewish history. Zionists want to create a Jewish state in Palestine with as much land, as many Jews, and as few Palestinian Arabs as possible. Show me one other national movement that is introduced in this manner. By the way, Zionism isn't unique. It's a national movement that emerged during the period when empires collapsed and nation-states were formed. But I'm drifting into history, and that's not what we are here for. We are here to talk about something else: knowledge poisoning and the digital war against Israel. Over the past 2 years, I've made quite a few debunking videos against various anti-Israel activists. It's pretty easy because most of them talk nonsense. None of them can point to a single case where Jews stole land from Arabs before the Arabs launched a war against the Jews. And none of them can produce a single quote from an Arab leader in 1948 talking about Palestinians, because they didn't exist as a people. But my last debunking video was against a video by Ken from the channel Elephants in the Room. Ken is not anti-Israel and not anti-Jewish, and I'm sure he would rather live in democratic Israel with human rights and freedom of speech than in a Muslim dictatorship. And still, his video contained many errors. If you're interested in seeing those mistakes, watch that video. I will put a link below. But this video is not about the mistakes themselves. It's about how they happened. And they happened because of deliberate, systematic knowledge poisoning. One of the most important places where this occurs is Wikipedia. Most people think Wikipedia is the free encyclopedia, a place where truth emerges from the wisdom of the crowd. That may have been true once. Today, English Wikipedia is an ideological battlefield, where truth is the first casualty. And it is not just a website. It's the foundation on which AI is built. When Wikipedia is biased, not only do humans receive false information, but machines learn lies. You might think anyone can edit. No, Wikipedia is not a democracy. A small group of admins with enormous power dictates what truth is. And on Wikipedia, in far too many cases, this group is heavily left-leaning and anti-Israel. Now to the truly dangerous part. Why should this matter to people who never open Wikipedia? Because your computers learn from this text. AI models like ChatGPT or Gemini need mountains of text, and Wikipedia is their gold: structured, clean, and considered reliable. When Wikipedia is poisoned, a closed loop of lies is created. First, a false narrative is inserted into an article. Then the AI learns it as fact. Then a journalist asks AI a question and receives a biased answer. He publishes it. Then Wikipedia uses that article as an external source to verify the original lie. It's a system. I want to bring this down to earth and show you some examples, and also show you how to smell the lies. As simple example, the 1948 war. Look at this sentence. The conflict escalated into a civil war on 30th November 1947. Imagine reading that tension between Germany and Poland in 1939 escalated into a war, and that eventually 14 million Germans became refugees. You would think something is wrong, right? And in all the entries related to the 1948 war, the Nakba, the refugee problem, the truth is never written, that the Arabs started the war. That's an important detail, isn't it? And it is not disputed. There are a few recruiting elements in pro-Palestinian contamination. The use of the word Palestinians instead of Arabs. Palestinian identity was invented in the 1960s. Before that, no Arab leader spoke about Palestinians when referring to Arabs. And speaking of leaders, if the names of the Arab leaders from 1948 are not mentioned, that's a sign the article has been contaminated by pro-Palestinians. Why? Because all the Arab leaders in mandatory Palestine called for the destruction of the Jewish community. And all three of them, let's say their names, Amin al-Husseini, Hassan Salameh, and Fawzi el-Kawakji, spent the 1940s in Berlin with their friend Adolf Hitler. From there, they called on Arabs across the Arab world to annihilate the Jews. So remember, three signs you can smell Wikipedia's rot. It doesn't say the Arabs started the war. The Arab leaders' names are missing, and the word Palestinians replaces the word Arabs. Let's move to Jerusalem. The Wikipedia entry on Jerusalem is a masterpiece of identity erasure. It starts by describing Jerusalem as a city in the Levant. No, Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, is the capital of Israel, and it was the capital of Israel 1700 years before Islam was invented. Interestingly, right at the beginning it says the city was the first standard direction for Muslim prayers. I think it is far more important to say that Jerusalem has always been the only direction of prayer for Jews. And just look at the entry for the State of Israel. The word occupation appears in the very second sentence. In total, the word occupation shows up over 100 times. First of all, the correct legal term is disputed territories. Israel didn't occupy these lands from a sovereign nation. You can't even tell me who Israel supposedly occupied them from. I've made a whole video about that. But what's really interesting is the double standard. Go to the entry for China. It doesn't say they occupied Tibet in any paragraph. Look at Turkey. Not a single word in the intro or in the whole article about their occupation of northern Cyprus. Almost every country in the world has disputed territories, but only in the entry for Israel does it appear in the very second sentence. One last example, the history of Israel. Look at what was written before October 2023. Israel, also known as the Holy Land or Palestine, is the birthplace of the Jewish people, the place where the final form of the Hebrew Bible is thought to have been compiled, and the birthplace of Judaism and Christianity. And look at what it says now. The history of Israel covers an area in the southern Levant, also known as Canaan, Palestine, or the Holy Land, which is the geographical location of the modern state of Israel and Palestine. Not a single word about this being the place where the Jewish people were formed and where the Bible was written. What you are seeing here is the erasure of Jewish identity and the erasure of the connection between Jews and the land of Israel. By the way, another sign that a text about Israel has been contaminated by pro-Palestinians is the constant emphasis on European Jews, because Europe is white, and white is bad in the terminology of the Islamo-leftists. The land of Israel has always been the destination of Jewish immigrants from Europe and from the Arab countries, from East and West. Even in the modern period, Jews who began the modern return to the land of Israel came from Yemen. Yemen, for those who don't know, is not in Europe. The effects of erasing Jewish history and identity can be seen everywhere. A few months ago, the National Education Association in the US shared a map where Israel was erased and replaced with Palestine. The same association wanted to publish a booklet stating that 12 million people were murdered in the Holocaust, without mentioning Jews. And just now there is a story about a course in the UK's Open University where they wanted to write that Jesus was born in ancient Palestine. Jesus was born in Judea because he was Jewish. There is a book about it, the Bible. It's very popular. The word Palestine was invented only 100 years after Jesus was crucified, and not because there was a Palestinian people, but because the Romans wanted to punish the Jewish people. Instead of studying at university, buy my Jerusalem crash course. It will cost you less and you will learn more. And by the way, you will also be supporting my channel. So, what do? First of all, awareness. We are at war. The first thing is to spread and share. My channel isn't huge, and in recent months there's been a drop in views. But every now and then I get a message from someone influential who can actually do something. So if you're important people, do something. And if you are not an important person, write a comment and help the video reach important people. You can write in the comments, I'm not important, or Wisconsin. It doesn't matter. Every comment, like, and share helps. If you financially support Wikipedia, stop. This isn't about a few contaminated articles. It's a method. And in other languages, it is much worse. I will include links below to pages that track bias on Wikipedia, such as Wikibias, which monitors systematic bias. And it is not just about history. It is happening constantly. In the Hamas article, they remove the fact that Hamas is a religious terrorist organization calling for Israel's destruction, and instead present it as a resistance organization. The terrorist attack against Jews in Bodai, same thing. It's a battle over every single article. The war on Israel is not only at the borders. It's on screens, in code, in language, in Wikipedia articles, and in AI engines. Truth must defeat the Islamo-leftist lies. In the next video, we are going to talk about the forgotten history of the Middle East, the indigenous cultures and civilization that were systematically erased by the Islamic conquests. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss that one. A huge thanks to everyone supporting the channel. You are the reason I can keep telling the truth. See you in the next one. Yalla bye.